The most important thing to keep in mind is the training that the broker provides. It's very important before you choose an office to work for. First, you should interview, I would say, interview with at least 3 different offices. Interview with at least 3 different offices. And in your packet that you received upon enrollment, you'll find a sheet that advises you on what questions you should ask a broker before committing to work for him or her. Now, the most important thing is the training provided. The broker, if the broker tells you there is training, which there should be, it's key to ask that broker for a copy of a written training schedule. Because I can virtually guarantee you, if the broker tells you there's a training program, but that broker does not have a written training program in place, I can almost guarantee you that that program does not exist. So it's important to ask the broker for a copy of the written training calendar for the office, a written training calendar for the office. That's the most important thing to keep in mind. And in my opinion, there's 2 types of training. There's sales training in terms of how to obtain clients, how to close clients on making a decision, how to handle objections, being a salesperson. That's a very important part to ensure your success in the real estate industry. Now, the second part is also very important, and that's compliance training. How do you fill out contracts? What are the record-keeping requirements? How do you fill out a listing agreement? Making sure that the disclosures are completed properly to minimize the risks of litigation. So 2 very important pillars of training. One is the sales side of things that tells you how to get clients and make money, very important to make sure you stick around. And the second thing, of course, is compliance training. Disclosures, contracts, things that you should be aware of outside of training is the fee schedule. 2 parts to that. Number 1, your commission split. How are your commissions calculated? So if you've never been in sales or never been around the real estate industry before, when you close a transaction, the broker that you work for will typically take a piece of that commission. And that's how the broker makes money. The broker just takes a little piece from you, a little piece from me, a little piece from the person sitting next to you, and a little piece from everybody. And that's how the broker makes money, keeps the office going, keeps the advertising moving, etc. So how are your commissions calculated? That's the first thing. Also, in reference to commissions, before I forget, you should ask what the turnaround time is for commission checks. Typically, in most real estate offices, if you close a transaction, you'll get your commission potentially that day or even the following day, right? The commission turnaround time should be relatively quick. If the broker doesn't pay you for quite some time, the likelihood it could be, and some situations might be different, but most of the time, the broker's basically playing with your money. So you don't want that, right? You want to get paid quickly. You close a transaction today, you turn in your file, it's complete. This is all, of course, assuming that you have a complete file. You should get paid that same day or the very next day or maybe 2 days maximum, but you should get paid relatively quickly. Now, some offices will keep less of your commission in exchange for you paying desk fees. Now, desk fees are calculated by taking the expenses of an office and dividing them by the number of salespeople. So you have the expenses of an office divided by the number of salespeople. So, for example, if the expenses of an office are $10,000 a month and there's 100 salespeople working there, your desk fees every month will be $100 a month. Now, sometimes desk fees are needed. In a slow market, maybe the whole office needs to come together to keep the thing open. Maybe you're paying desk fees in exchange for a larger commission split. But it's important to ask that question up front. What are the desk fees, if any? Some offices don't have desk fees, but they'll take a larger portion of your commission generally. A couple of key things to ask, right? What's my commission split? What's the training schedule? How much are the desk fees each month? And some offices will use fees as a profit center for the office. In other words, every time you pick up the phone to make a phone call, you'll have to enter a code. And that code will uniquely identify you, and you will be in a position where you have to pay for every outgoing phone call. Some offices will charge you for a fax. Every page that comes in, they'll charge you for every page of an incoming fax. Now, currently, the purchase contract is 8 pages plus a 2-page buyer inspection advisory, plus a 2-page agency form, which is 12 pages. If you have 4 or 5 offers on a property, you could be out $50 or $60 on something that may or may not materialize. So again, you should know, my point to all this is, where you start your real estate career can have a profound impact on whether or not you actually end up staying in the business. And we want to maximize your chances of success. So in order to do that, we have to make sure that we have a solid training program in place. We have to make sure that as agents and salespeople, we know exactly what we're paying the broker, and we know what those fees are going toward in order to maximize our chances of success.